Hi guys. Um what a good day. Um I wanted to give you a reminder of um how it might be possible to still love people who we wouldn't consider being on our frequency, or who are not for us, or who are even a great trigger to our system, right? Because a lot of times we're trying to resolve or dissolve or clear things with our mind, like either by judging or gossiping about others, or by making sense of why we don't like someone, or why we feel triggered, or why we feel anxiety. um and one of my colleagues reminded me today of a very simple the simple act of giving. Maybe even in times when you don't feel like giving. We were talking. Oh, I was sharing an experience about another uh, colleague of mine, which is not in a judgmental way, but just what I've been experiencing. And she was having the same experience, and she said, I don't need to go into, like, it's not necessary to be too detailed, but she basically said, I'm always asking if he needs something else, if I could help him. And she's like, if he's going to be nervous or stressed out when you are, because he is having the shift after my shift, and I was basically saying what's up, right? And then he is going to work the shift after my shift, and he's a very I would consider him anxious, having social anxiety, because he barely looks at you, and he is the wind is so strong. It's very beautiful, but he barely looks at you, and I sense anxiety coming from him. He seems very nervous. And there were times in my life, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, when I would experience the same thing at a workspace. And I was just reminded of that today, that I've been at that place. So it was a very heart opening energy today, on that day. I felt more sense of connection and belonging like I haven't felt in months. So my colleague, whatever, said, she's always asking him, and if he's too nervous, you can say, like, she's coming over, going to help and going to do some other kind of work. And she was just saying, like, I'm trying to ask him if I can do anything for him, and saying I'm here and I can help you or support you in your work. And that made me think, because for the longest time, I've been so busy on setting boundaries and so busy with, like, protecting my energy, that I also tend to forget to open up. And the one thing I learned with people is, when people hurt you in the past, if people hurt you in the past, and if people are basically part or the reason of your trauma, which for most people that's the case, it sounds bizarre, but then people are also part of the healing journey. So if people are the reason for your pain, people will also be reason for your healing. So I forgot to open up in the last couple of weeks, and it made me think that the simple act of actually giving to that person who is, and he's not only anxious, he's also like scared that he's doing more than others and he's working more than others, while I'm like always try to, everyone tries to do their best in whatever kind of way and context. And I felt so triggered by that. Someone who's overwhelmed by smaller things or the minimum is judging others who are objectively doing more in that workspace, or and that's what I struggled with. And then my colleague said, I always try to ask him if he needs anything more, and that I'm still here and that I can help and support him. And it's so simple. And I told her, that's such a nice thing to do, because I closed myself off from that because I've been trying to protect myself. And the ego jumps in and wants to protect us from judgment and shame and guilt and blame and being compared and not being good enough. And it's still like, I've been there so many times, and still it is a daily practice, or it comes back again, the feeling of needing to explain yourself to other people, or feeling not good enough in what you're doing. And instead of maybe opening up to the possibility that he is just very scared of not being able to manage the work, I was judging so much, or I was judgmental of the fact that he would be that overwhelmed, and I would not consider him already doing his best like I was doing my best. And it's such a simple reminder of sometimes it can be so healing, not only for the other person to open up and open our hearts to the possibility of helping and offering a hand and offering support in simple kind of ways. Not only healing to the other person, but healing to ourselves. Like, if I leave work or leave a place with the feeling of I opened up and I offered my time, energy, and help, I might feel better. And I don't want to deny the fact of protecting our space and protecting our energy and like setting boundaries and being very clear about who has access to us and our energy. But just consider the possibility of feeling better after opening up and offering help to someone who maybe just is very scared or overwhelmed. That would also mean to choose love over fear, right? Because opening up and considering other people already giving their best would mean to choose love over fear. And instead of, because I was very protective of my energy, because I had to do for the longest time. But the more you work with yourself and the more you love yourself and the more you, like the deeper you go within yourself and seeing who you are beneath all that, right? Behind the ego, beyond the ego, which obviously isn't you anyway, but beyond what you're doing, beyond your productivity, beyond your profession and your status and your skills and your whatever. Beyond that, there's this very divine, infinite soul of yours that you can tap in every day and every minute of the day, and understand that your your energy and your light and love and what you give to people has nothing to do with your income or your profession and so on and so forth. And it was so simple, and it made me like, because it seemed like she cared about, like being supportive and being helpful. And even if people are not on the same frequency, there is still connection possible, right? A lot of times we judge where we are because people might not be on our wavelength or frequency, or we feel like we belong somewhere else. And that might be true from one perspective, but it's always true that we can learn there, or that we can drop judgment there, or that we can master our energy there. And it doesn't even mean that it always has to be harmonious, or that you need to be friends or like get married or that you but it can mean that you can start asking, what can I give here? And maybe through that giving you can be receiving. And there's always a balance, like I said, some days we have to protect that space because people are invalidating or stepping over boundaries, or want more that we want to give, or want more of our energy. And it's difficult to point that out sometimes, because a lot of times people are just very unconscious of what they are doing, and chances are they are very, very scared. And I myself opened myself up to that possibility of giving more in a way that feels healing, even though I consider that person not being on my wavelength. You don't have to spend your private time with them. You don't have to, even sometimes it's just 10 minutes that we interact with someone, and that those 10 minutes can be very beneficial for that other person to feel better. And the thing about that is that we will feel better by doing so. Just a quick reminder for today. These are exciting times. I don't know why I feel like saying that, but these are really, truly exciting times. I love you a lot. Thank you if you watched this video, if it was helpful. Bye for now.